Some people may remember the TV show Teletubbies. It was a rather weird show, and generally disturbing. Speakers were everywhere, and there was a some of the baby's face on it. Plus, a scary segment involving a lion and a bear, which was edited after complaints. Today, I went to my local HMV. The store clerk had recently got a pre-owned DVD. It said Teletubbies Lost Episode, The Playground. The clerk said to me that the customer who sold it was extremely upset that he said that he did not want to watch it anymore. I bought it anyway, despite the warnings about the upset customer. I slammed it onto my DVD player and it skipped to the BBC logo and then went straight to the intro. Everything was okay at first. The intro was normal until the speaker that was supposed to say, "Where have the Teletubbies gone?" said something disturbing instead. Life is not about anything. It is the consequence. I thought it was rather weird for it to say on the kids' TV show. It started with Tinky Winky sitting at the table. He was rather sad, depressed, and lonely. And he was bawling. Not like the cartoon bawling, but actual real human bawling. It then skipped to another scene after the windmill roll call, which played out as normal, and showed something on Tinky Winky's screen. It depicted a rather CGI-looking playground with a climbing frame that looked like a Teletubbies house. Whoever made the CGI was rather crap at it as it was all wireframe, but then a sickening scene appeared. There were two children, but they were committing seppuku while looking at the creepy side. Blood stains were everywhere along with realistic-looking intestines and organs scattered around across the ground. I hurled it into the bathroom from this, to which during I overheard the Teletubby saying, "Again, again!" to which the video earlier repeated itself. I then came back and final phase from the Teletubby bye-bye speaker was spoken. Life is meaningless, and the truth is that you're all going to die from a horrifying death. No one understands it. A nuclear bomb hit Teletubby land, and the sun baby was crying, rather than its normal happy face. Its face was soaked in blood. After that, a picture of the playground appeared, with the Teletubbies hanging over on the gallows, blood seeping from their necks as they died. Behind them was the Teletubbies' home in flames, and the sun baby from before was shot to the ground and was bleeding. And of course, I vomited again, this time onto my duvet. I don't know what a duvet is. After this scene, it then cuts to the ending credits, but at the end, instead of the ragdoll logo, there was a message that I couldn't understand, but it would look like Russian or Ukrainian text. I turned it off and hanged up the ragdoll about the episode, and they said they had about 237 complaints and said that it was worse than the Lion the Bear episode. And they also said the man who worked on it was called Christian Johnson. He had a friend who went on the playground, and apparently he was on drugs and depressed to the point of taking his own life. He was a CGI artist, but never got to complete the episode because the progress was halted when the ragdoll found out what it was. It was mistakes sent to the BBC, and they aired it without realizing the content. After just 5 minutes of the episode, complaints started ringing in. Parents said it was disturbing for their children, and BBC took it off the air immediately. Christian killed himself after the BBC aired it, fearing that life is not about anything, and it's a consequence. After hearing this, I ripped up the disc and smashed it. I couldn't sleep for the whole night, as I have had nightmares about it for weeks. The next morning, the doorbell rang, and a man dressed up in a bloodstained Teletubby appeared. It said his name was Ted Goldman, the person who worked on Pingu's Punishment. Well, my pretties, that was Teletubbies Lost Episode, The Playground. A Teletubbies Lost Episode, creepypasta. My final thoughts on the story. I have some good things to say about this story, but I also have some not great things to say about this story. Now, this is actually one of the fewer Lost Episode creepypastas that are Teletubby related that managed to do something good. But at the same time, however, there was some stuff that I didn't really feel that was necessary for this story. Now, first of all, I will say that this is like a really old episode and, well, like a classic creepypasta. And it's actually one of the classic ones that a lot of people really like. Like this is actually one of the classic creepypastas, but however, the lost episode, I will say some of the stuff is a bit disturbing, especially with the concept and the whole fact that, everything that happened went from 1 to 100 pretty quickly. And this story, on the other hand, I mean, well, the cliches involving, the DVD and, get it from the store clerk and all. I mean, I'm willing to excuse it because this is like an older creepypasta. I believe this was written back before Lost episode creepypastas became like really repetitive in that. I mean, it's not a bad story, but definitely not great either. And that's just me being honest. When it came to this story, I honestly kind of like it, but at the same time, I really didn't care for this story, especially with the concept. It's a good pasta because it's a classic. Well, not really super classic, but yeah, it's just really something. I am going to say right now that this story was honestly good, but honestly, it was also cliched. But yeah, despite that, it was still a pretty good story and well made for its detail. I mean, I like the concept in that. I thought it was really neat, especially for how it all went out. Now, the story honestly seemed pretty interesting, but I also gotta really say, the cliches could have been left out, but other than that, it's an older story. So I'm willing to say that it's a pretty older story for what it is. I still find it to be a good story though. But, the grammar's good and all that. Although I did spot a few punctuation errors, I believe, and a few grammatical errors. But it was an alright story. I mean, it's not a perfect story, but it's still one of the better Lost Episode pastas. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It's really hard to come up with a good one without repeating certain things. I mean, everything went from 1 to 100 pretty quickly. Now, I know there's 2 images for this story. Like, one image I cannot show because it's pretty messed up. Because, yeah, YouTube could most likely, take the video down or something. I don't really know. If I had that image there, chances are the video could end up getting demonetized. And, if you want to know what the second picture is, I feel free to go look that image up on I think Spin Pasta, because that's where I read the story from, and see what you guys think. So, anyways, with that being the case, and with that being said, I'm going to sit here and say right now that this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's perfectly fine too. Now, to the author of the story, I can't seem to find out who you are, but if you guys happen to, if someone happens to be the author of the story, they can let me know in the comments below. So anyways, with that being said and with that being the case, it's a pretty good story, definitely well made, and I recommend you guys check out this story if you haven't. Now, it's not a good story either because of some of the cliches and that, but the rest of it was alright. I mean, it's a good classic, one of the fewer good Lost Episode pastas, although it's still cliched in that, but still. I still found this story to be, good in many ways. So, with that being said, and that being the case, what did you guys... Oh, yeah, also with the final rating, I'm gonna give this story a 6 out of 10. Not great, but definitely not bad either. It's a mediocre kind of story. But I also do want to say that this story, honestly, it is a pretty interesting concept. But at the same time, the cliches in them kind of gave out away. But it didn't knock my rating of this story fully. It just, knocked, some points down because of it. But also with some of the stuff that, kind of went downhill. But this is an older story, so I'm really willing to give it that. So, anyways, with that being the case and with that being said, I don't know who the original author of this story, so I'm going to leave this as anonymous for now. If I ever find out who the original author is, I'll be sure to give the author proper credit. So, with that being the case and that being said, what did you guys personally think of this creepypasta? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're brand new here to this channel, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.